Good morning, everyone. It's Chick Greasy Whistle here with a Z. And today's episode is brought to you by Crystal Pepsi, the most refreshing Pepsi that's crystal. I want to thank Discusure for sponsoring this episode. We were actually supposed to go try to take this thing apart and see if you can break into it, because these things are all kind of like Fort Knox 256-bit encryption, and you got military-grade protection against, like water and dust and all that. Now, the thing is, if you want to try to get at the information on the inside and you pull these apart, it ain't gonna work. The data's destroyed, goes away. If someone steals this and puts in the wrong password too many times, locks them out, destroys the data. So make sure you have a backup of your data, but this is a good way to hand around really sensitive data. Not to mention that each of these devices allow you to have an admin password plus a secondary password. And with the secondary password, you can make it like read-only, or you can let them read and write. So I can just give it to somebody and be like, here's your password, and that password is read-only. Freaking snazzy. We've been using these in the office a lot, and I like them a lot, so you get this plug here. There's links right in the top of the description, so please go check them out. Guys, there's a lot of things to talk about today. So let's just get right down to it. Costa Rica has a new president, and I'm going to get political here. So all you people who hate politics, just get ready to have your panties go right up your crack of your bottom area into the wadded tight and upset. And we're all wearing panties, right? I'm wearing panties. So Costa Rica had a couple different political candidates. One candidate was primarily running on the idea of no gay marriage. He's so terrified by what grown men do, mostly men, right? I mean, everyone I've ever met who's against gay marriage, whenever you're like, what about two girls? They're like, oh, that's hot. Well, he lost to someone who is 38 years old, pro-science, and wants to make Costa Rica the first fossil fuel world. World? It'll be its own little world. So by 2021, he wants to get rid of all fossil fuel consumption. And, guys, these guys have been like extremely good when it comes to renewable energies. They are almost 99% renewable energy last year, but they want to move it all the way through the industry and get everything to be fossil fuel free. He's 38-year-old Carlos Alvarado. This is probably not going to happen by 2021, but, he's there and he's young and he's full of excitement and everything. So it's a step in the right direction. And it just shows you when you have like this, when you run on ridiculous platforms like this, and then someone who's pro-science and doesn't care about all that nonsense, superstition and hatred and bullshit like that, it just shows that like nothing shows. I'm just glad he won. That's all. If you guys been on the website and it's like, oh, please click on the 17 cars on this page, and you have to click on them all to prove you're not a robot. Well, the new version, reCAPTCHA version 3, the beta that's coming out from Google, if you guys didn't know, Google owns reCAPTCHA. The beta that's coming out, they're not going to use that. What they're going to do is they're going to determine whether or not you're a robot by how you interact with the website. And here's what that really means. That means that while you're on a web page, Google is watching everything you're doing and keeping the analytic data. That's really the whole idea here. By making it more convenient and making people think like, oh, this is great. Now I don't have to worry about those stupid things or entering in that really long, strange message that I can barely read with the letters that are like, can you read me? Now they just follow your mouse cursor. They can tell what you're hovering over. They can tell what you're doing. They can watch how you scroll. And guys, they're going to be using this data for marketing stuff. I don't care what they say over here. They're already harvesting this in a lot of other ways, but this is one more easy way for them to be running in the background on websites that you regularly visit. And it's all going to make your life easier while allowing them to harvest tons of data about your browsing habits. And also, just like when you hover your mouse over top of like one of the advertisements, they'll know, oh, the mouse was hovering over that for 3 seconds. And they'll be able to use that and say like, oh, your ad performance is pretty good. I'm just skipping this, guys. I'm so sick of sketchy as hell stuff that Trump and his guys are doing. But yeah, AT&T gave Trump's lawyer a ton of money. And right when they were like trying to get rid of net neutrality, and of course, Ajit Pai, and of course, the money stopped after Ajit Pai finished what he was supposed to be doing. I'll leave it there, but it's such an obvious article. Guys, Moore's Law, we're getting into some limitations with what we can do with copper. As we get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, the copper can't handle the heat from the electric currents that go across it, and that becomes a huge barrier. We need a new way to do this, and if we're ever going to get to quantum computing, we need to be able to do that at room temperature. Well, there's a new material that they've developed at the University of California in Riverside. And these engineers have developed a 1D material. And you guys can read the article for all the details if you like. Graphene was like a 2D material, meaning that it's just one atom thick, but it was a flat sheet. And with graphene, we can maybe do stuff like have video walls anywhere, make things extremely small, put very strong coatings on things. Graphene is actually very strong, even though it's one atom thick. And whereas that's a sheet, a 1D material is basically a noodle. It's just one atom thick in all directions, so you can make a nice long line. So being able to use this to conduct something, maybe electricity, maybe light, they're going to be doing it with light, and it can be 50 times better than conventional copper, maybe even more so than that. The one step that would really make this work is being able to create products or PCB or something, wafers, whatever, that have the channels built in, and then manufacture the 1D material right in the channels. And that's what they're doing right now. They're developing very thin materials that will have the channels already laid out, and then they can just go ahead and make the material, put it in the channels, and then create your wafer, your PCB, whatever. An entire board that had this laid out would make things way faster. Then the limitations would be all the components on the board. So we'll have to make a lot of different improvements there, and the hard drives are going to be so slow. They've got to improve that. But this could be a step towards really fast computers at room temperature or quantum computing at room temperature. So Boston Dynamics, we check in on them every now and then. But anyway, they've got Atlas running here. Take a look at that. It's pretty good. He always runs so weird. I wonder why he doesn't take like long strides. We're on our way to this, though. This is what we're on our way to. Mm-hmm. Just any minute now. This guy needs like a Google or an Apple logo on his shirt. Terminator 1 or 2? 2. Oh, come on. One's the better movie, right? Oh, no. Which one do you like better?
Oh, T1.
Yeah, I like T1 better, too. Most people are going to say T2, I think, in the comments, but we'll see.
Genesis?
Genesis. I was just born. South Korea is getting 2.5 gigabit per second internet, up to 5 gigabit per second internet, thanks to I'm not sure, is it GPON or GPON technology? So it's not your standard internet technology, but they're going to be rolling this out all over South Korea, expecting up to 80% of the people to have access to stuff like this. America.
No human needs more than 10 megabits a second. I was at my aunt's house last week, and she's got 100, and she just checks her email. Doesn't do nothing else. I mean, we don't need it. We don't need it.
Let's get just left behind by the rest of the world, shall we? You guys excited about looking for extraterrestrials? Anybody? I mean, there's only like billions of possibilities out there. And the Fermi paradox says that there must be some life somewhere, but there's not. Where the hell is it? So in the next budget for NASA, there's a little bit of money, $10 million, set over for the search for techno-signatures. Techno-signatures. They don't want to come out and say alien life or extraterrestrial intelligence. No. Now it's techno-signatures. I'll generate some techno-signatures for you guys, and we can break it down later. So anyway, that's everything. I covered everything for the whole week that's going on in futurology, technology news. 100% covered. Nothing else to talk about. Except for gaming stuff, Justin.
I still hold, personally, that the reason we haven't found intelligent life yet is because every time it's come close to this planet, they've been like, ooh, oh, yeah, no. Walmart Canada very nicely put the box order art up for Rage 2 pre-E3, which caused a little bit of upset on Twitter. Thankfully, the companies involved with Rage and everything have been really nice about it. So far, there's been one Twitter post that was about like what they were missing from the box art and how to actually do it right. And then there was just a simple, dude from Bethesda. Why you gotta do that to us, dude?
It's gotta be Pete Hines hanging out.
Pete Hines making a nice little SCTV reference there.
We learned about Borderlands 3. We learned about all these leaks. Gears of War 5.
Yep. This person made a fully functional pinball machine with nothing but Lego.
Lego and love. It's all it takes.
Yep.
All right, you guys can watch this video on your own time.
Yeah. So Valve was soon going to let you stream games right to your phone and tablet. So
this is pretty cool because you'll have to do it on a 5 gigahertz network if you're using your phone or something like that. But it will support USB devices like my mice and keyboard. That's going to mainly be limited by what your Android device can handle. But it will support the Steam controller as well, right there on your phone. So you can just hang out in the bed and play. There's a lot of games on Steam that I would like to play on my phone, like the new Into the Breach or FTL, games made by that one company. I started
just only
just that one company. Since I started playing FTL, I'm like, I really want to play this on my phone. And I've downloaded a few games that were like rip-offs, and they were awful.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I just want to play the real FTL, or now Into the Breach would be great. It'd be like, kind of scratch that Advance Wars itch. On a small portable device. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so if you recall last week, we were talking about how phone gaming has now taken over as the primary medium that people choose to play games on. I think Valve was just watching us last week because they watch.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh shit, we better get on this because Tech Syndicate said something.
Yeah, all their 5,000 employees, that's our hits.
Yeah.
It's like most of our hits right there.
Yeah.
They're also getting tons of, how should I say this? They're letting you watch their library of TV shows that no one watches on their phone. Maybe if you watch that on your mobile device, maybe someone will actually watch that stuff.
Yeah, so far, anytime I've seen a TV show that's been like exclusively on Steam, I'm like, no.
Coming to you exclusively on Steam next week. We'll watch for that.
Rick and Morty is getting 70 new episodes. 70 new episodes. That's going to be Rick and Morty 100 forever. 100% rickandmorty.com forever, Morty. I'm really excited about this.
I'm pretty freaking excited too.
Yeah. And if you go to this webpage, there's a little silly thing that Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon did. And 70.
Why do we have to talk about this?
Oh, just so EA had record-breaking revenues this past year. They made $5.1 billion in revenue. Kind of felt like pointing this out because there was that whole front where people were like, look at the difference we made, guys. Look how we taught EA a lesson and made sure that they know better about the loot crates and stuff like that. Look how we taught them this lesson by making them have better profits than they had last year. EA has learned nothing.
You know what they learned? They learned that when the internet goes crazy, the stock price goes down and people yell and scream for a few months at most. But then the CEO, last week, just came out and was like, we've heard all the problems and we've decided to completely go all in with loot boxes and loot crates.
Yep.
We're going all in with our future games despite all of the trouble, because that is the future that we see in the gaming. It's really scary when you look at the revenue from game sales versus the revenue from microtransactions, and the revenue from microtransactions is a way bigger chunk on the bar graph, or the pie graph.
Yeah.
Watch for publishers and developers who are into this for making good games and making enough to live on. Those are the ones who are making the really interesting games out there, instead of just making games that force you to play a certain way that makes you desire paying for loot boxes and stuff.
Or leaving things out of an otherwise complete game and then making you pay for it to actually get a complete game.
Yeah, and we can complain all we want, but it seems like the ignorant masses, I'm not trying to make fun of them, they are ignorant, they don't know everything that's going on. They rush to the store to buy every new EA game, whatever it is, Battle something, Star Wars something, whatever. They'll rush to the store and buy it. They don't know, they don't care, but at least the few of us who spend a little bit more time and look a little deeper, we'll be able to find the indie games that are awesome.
Yeah, because regardless of how much we boycott things, there's always going to be parents buying stuff for kids that just aren't paying attention. All right, so Devolver Digital is publishing a new game for Super Nintendo.
What the hell?
And it's all going to charity. So it's going to be called Fork Parker's Crunch Out.
Did you read what kind of game this is?
No, I didn't.
I didn't either.
It's an employee motivation project.
So dealing with real life crunch in the industry.
So it's going to be a satire game about the video game industry.
Crunch Out.
For the video game industry. By the video game industry.
The crunch has to stop. When we make our game, we're going to try every way in the world not to have crunch, even if that means delaying it a few months or whatever. Sorry, guys, crunch is not good for your health. And it's not good for,
projects.
The next projects are going to suffer because you're going to be burned out from the one, and people end up leaving the industry. And try not to crunch. Steam viewers are more bothered by bad game design than bugs. Remember back in the day when everything used to have the word beta on it, and it was almost like this is the way that we can give you this piece of software, and then whenever there's a bug, be like beta. I feel like people are starting to get used to bugs because of early access. It's just it's early access.
Yeah, I find myself even playing games and I come across a bug if it's early access, be like, well, they'll fix it. Like this doesn't bother me like it should. But I mean, this is also kind of like a no shit Sherlock situation for me. It seems like.
Yeah, the game's really awesome, but there's some bugs. That's not that big of a deal.
But if the game's just crap, bug free, it's still crap. It's still bug free crap, guys. Like So
why do they need to study for this?
I don't know, but someone wasted time, money, and effort to study this. Yeah.
Let's go study whether wool or nothing keeps your feet warmer.
I would like to see whether or not water or sand will get you wet. So that's
which one's better to drink?
That's gonna be my study.
All right,
I have a hypothesis. It's ready.
All right, let us know what you guys want to study, and we'll start doing that. We sold a bunch of these today, as a matter of fact. Had a pretty good day on the store.
Nice.
So,
yay!
Thanks to you guys for being awesome.
Also, P.S. Since this is going to be coming out on Sunday, today is Mother's Day. If you haven't called your mom or whatever, do so. Unless you have a really terrible relationship with your mom, then don't, because you don't need to open up those wounds. But it is Mother's Day technically, so don't forget, be a good kid.
It's always easy. Just stick your head out of the basement and go, "Hey, Mom, thanks." Ha 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 ha! Basement dwell humor. Ha ha ha!
Get a job! Back down.
I don't have to. You keep supporting me, and we never have this talk for real. It's just a joke.